How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today as we're going to be concluding and wrapping up, recapping the first week of training camp for the Kansas City Chiefs. Ladies and gentlemen, football is back, and I've written several about this thus far and talked about it to you guys on this podcast. So far, so good. Almost everything that you could have go right in the first week of training camp, it went pretty right. I understand that there's still a lot to be improved, ramped up in terms of physicality, as well as seeing who can actually make the production, stay consistent. But it's very important and crucial to mention thus far what we've seen from some rookies. That is going to be so much more promising than you think it is going into the new season. I understand that the Kansas City Chiefs, they lost a lot of pieces. They have a lot of veterans who are still leading the charge and hoping to fill the holes that were left by the free agent players who signed elsewhere. But at the end of the day, the best way to keep this dynasty thriving is not by throwing out the exact same team. It's by bringing in new guys and seeing what they can do. And thus far through training camp, whether it's the rookie draft picks or some guys being undrafted free agents, they're showing up and they're showing out early, which is important. It's important, much more important than it is seeing how the veterans are performing now, because you know what to expect from a veteran in this kind of scenario. You know that Patrick Mahomes is going to be good. You know that Travis Kelce is going to be able to hold his own, regardless if he's going into his 13th season in the National Football League. It's great to see some of these rookies thrive, and we're going to break down some of them that have had a great training camp thus far and hope to carry it into the new 2025 campaign. So let's start off with Josh Simmons. Now, Josh Simmons, as we know, he's going to be a player to watch for the entirety of his first year in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's because of that knee injury. I understand that he's starting to feel a little bit better, and he's ramping up in his aggressiveness, being able to go out onto the field. That is terrific news, but it's going to be a subject to watch because it is a very severe injury that is happening to a young player that could alter how he grows into a player. But I'm impressed thus far with every single thing that his peers, his veteran peers, his coaches have said about him. Seemingly almost every person who has talked to the media after training camp practices, who are representing the offensive line or the offense in itself, even the guys on the defensive side of the ball, have said, it's a great way to start off training camp against Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons is looking big. He's looking fast. He's holding his own. He was a part of a crucial O-line matchup or makeup, rather, alongside Creed Humphrey, Kingsley Suamataia, Jalen Moore, and Trey Smith. That is going to be an important core group. And if that is going to be the group going into week one for the offensive line, I don't think anyone would be upset with that. Josh Simmons is only going to continue to impress. Another guy who's impressing early, who might be one of the more underrated draft picks for the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2025 class, Jeffrey Bassa. Jeffrey Bassa, while we know he's a fifth-round pick, he's in a room full of talented linebackers. The Chiefs might have some of the best linebackers in the National Football League that keep on continuously getting slept on. I'm just going to throw that out there, not even just because I cover them, but I've seen how these guys play, as well as the determination and leadership that they have in that room. Regardless, thus far, he's doing well on special teams. He's been able to showcase his coaches that he is fast, fierce. Jeffrey Bassa, he knows he's a fifth-round pick. He knows that he wants to step forward and break through into earning himself a role for the 2025 campaign. And if he keeps on playing the way that we've seen him playing, I think that it's a very real possibility. while it might be difficult to put him out there in defensive snaps, if he is going to have success thus far throughout training camp as or on the special team side of the ball, keep him there. See what you've got. Jeffrey Bossa, I've told you this, he's like a Swiss Army knife for the Kansas City Chiefs. Wherever you put him, he's going to give it his all, and most of the time he's going to thrive. He's a guy to watch. Another guy who's made a good, strong impression for the Chiefs thus far, 7th rounder Brashard Smith. We know that Brashard Smith was going to be a crucial player to this organization as soon as we saw his numbers out of the collegiate career and transitioning into a running back room that could eventually be his. And while it might not be his right now, as Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt, and Isaiah Pacheco are holding down the fort up front and running the ball, this is a guy in Brashard Smith who can be utilized in punt/kick returns. He's already gotten glowing reviews. He's great at catching the football. He's going to be able to use that speed and athleticism to benefit him down the line. If he's not going to be able to get a bunch of handoffs or passes from Patrick Mahomes lining up with the rest of the offense, if you put a speedster who has speed that kills and the Kansas City Chiefs know it on the backfield being in returning the football, it's only going to bode well. I'm looking forward to what more he can be doing in that punt return area. Obviously, we know that Nico Remigio, he's a guy that's kind of stepping forward and running away with that punt/kick returner role thus far. But that's thus far. I know that these are very quick and early tidbits that we've seen from these rookies thus far, but guys standing out is important right now. Jake Brenningstool, undrafted free agent, tight end out of Clemson. He's even showing up for the Kansas City Chiefs. Head coach Andy Reid, he's saying that he's a smart kid. Brett Veach, all kudos to you for bringing him into the system. He might not have a clear path on what his role will be in 2025, but if he makes the roster, if he makes the 53-man roster for the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, I think that he might as well just stay here, depending on how Jared Wiley is recovering from his injury. That Travis Kelce and Noah Gray are going to be taking the brunt of the work at the tight end position. But getting his work in as an undrafted free agent, turning heads early in training camp is the best way for him to get an expanded role. I could go on and on. Omar Norman-Lott and Jalen Royals, they are both holding their own. Noel Williams, he's also doing well. The Kansas City Chiefs, thus far, what we've seen in training camp is going to be different when they get those pads on. They're holding their own, and that's a good sign for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been heavily doubted this offseason, saying that they're going to take a step back. If their rookies can continue their production that we've seen throughout the entirety of the first week of training camp, the AFC is still the Kansas City Chiefs to lose. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, be sure you follow me over on X at Dom Minchella, where I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss any coverage while we continue covering training camp that goes into the new season. You can also follow us at KC Chiefs on SI over on X, formerly Twitter, where all of our writing staffs and updates get posted. Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to go when you're looking for Kansas City Chiefs news. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm Dominic Minchella. Be kind to one another. Be kind to one another. And I'll see you tomorrow.